So what I wanted to say, even though my daddy kicked me out over and over again, even though he invited people into the home, pre-programming them, all the dirt on Tracilyn, even though he often told people I was crazy, and how his words were to manipulate me and to be a servant to the people who stayed in the house, I still to this day love him very much. And I'm going to say it, that it hurts me that he cut off our relationship. And he credits it to his new marriage in 2012. That is what's best. She doesn't like me. And if she doesn't, then I'm here to say she's a bitch. I'm a good-hearted person. I love to love. I have been misunderstood since I came out here, and if I would have just been able to have my own basic needs met, then I might still not be favored by a lot of people, but I most certainly wouldn't tolerate the BS that I did. And I think it's absolutely absurdly crazy for a woman to insist that somebody not be in somebody's life when somebody else really loves that person. Never wanted to come in between the two. I never wanted to come in between husband and wife. He's my daddy. I never even wanted to marry him. He wanted to marry me. The reason I didn't want to marry is because I didn't have time to even think. I was living on the road in fear of life because of all of my circumstances. I was not mentally healthy, and the reason it was is because I was listening to Joyce Myers and applying her teachings into my life. And I wasn't getting the results that I needed. I didn't know how to get the help I needed. And we could go on and on and on with that. And I'm going to, because I'm going to call her personally. And if she doesn't take the time to speak to me, then I call her a coward. Now, God's missionary. I spilled out my heart to Zot for months. Actually, reality is, for years. In pain. He was always there to hug me, wipe my tears, did a lot of nice things for me. I had really good, healthy food. If I really needed something, it was gotten for me. The problem is, I didn't know what it is that I really needed and desired, and I kept reaching out, but people kept saying no, 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 no. A lot of judgment. I'm a very kind-hearted, loving person by nature. I have a lot of the fruits of the Spirit that I allowed to shine through. I almost died several times, and a lot of it is because people are difficult. They're mean, they're abusive. They don't have enough Christ in them. Or is it that I'm around all the wrong relationships because I've been taught my whole life, and now I'm around all the wrong people because I'm around these people, but if I would have been taught right, I would have made the right choices and been around healthier relationships with people who would have loved to have somebody like Tracilyn be an assistant, or just hang out in the automotive shop and talk to them. Run for cheeseburgers for them. You need beer? Do I gotta get beer? So I'll go down and get a 6-pack, here you go. You want me to open it? I don't want to use my hands for that. Ouch. The twisties. I don't want to do that. Crack the beer, might break a nail. I'm fragile. Daddy drank. It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me when we drank. Because I would drink wine too. A little bit. Like a little, I'd say 4 ounces to 6 ounces I would drink of wine. It depends what mood I was in, maybe more. I was dealing with my major depression and stuff, you know? That's the way I'd give therapy to myself. Now here's the thing. But it was when we got involved in the community and we were going to places that I've been many times and I really wanted to get out of. Socialized drinking is okay. Look, I'm not damning anybody for drinking. I can't drink beer. I just can't do it. The smell of it makes me sick. I should really sue all the beer beverages places for all the beer companies I drank from. Sick. I'm surprised I'm alive today. Just from my beer problem. I started drinking wine after I came to Christ. It's kind of funny in a way. I like it a little bit diluted, so I put ice in it. And here's the thing, I just really love the way it tastes. So I understand people like alcohol, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. When I was serving those people the food there, even though most of it, most likely, I would vow that most of it was probably not the healthiest that it could have been. But we're all going through life and we're trying to give. And we can only give what is available for us to give. When I was with Zot, he introduced me to a lot of newness. Everything in Dayton, Ohio is new to me. I was in an unhealthy circumstance because I was raised a worldly self. I became a worldly self in many ways. Not just the school system, in many, 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 many ways. I don't blame one person or one group or one reasoning. It happened. And as I was coming out of it, the Holy Bible, if the mega church up in Chicago isn't seeing to it that all the sister churches make it mandatory that they got to have the ability to take care of people going from a worldly self to their true self, then the big church in Chicago should be, what? Sued. Sue them. There was no means for me to be able to take care of myself, and I reached out several times. Now I'm the problem because I ended up being an escort. Now I'm the problem because I'm, what? Willing to speak the truth. I'm not the problem, church in Chicago, but I see you as being a possibility. God promised me, what? My heaven up here. It's not the afterlife. It's not the afterlife. We're transitional existences. We're transitioning into our heavens in our head. The Bible's the only thing that shows us. Most teachers, interpreters, do a very poor job. No matter what you say, it can come out many different ways. People have to surrender to their own honesty from within. Mental. It's a mental, worldly experience. Mental. We're here on a mental mission. Where does it say that in the Bible, Tracilyn? Look it up. It's all about belief systems. And what person believes, so it become true for them. Well, I'm here to tell you then I'm going to have one of the most amazing rock and roll ministries in all times. Not sometimes, in all times. My music's going to be on national radio. It's going to be on television. Worship leaders around the country are going to be singing what? I am thankful and you are holy. Right, church in Chicago? Sure. It's for God and God's people. Make sure that you register it. I'm with BMI, okay? I want my royalties for it. Ah, loves that. He introduced me to a lot of newness, everything that Dayton has to offer, and I'm hoping I can get past this life story stuff and start sharing with you the things that I love, like this beautiful scenery. My video, I can't wait to make my video coming up here this week. I got 2 video set locations close by, and I'm very excited about that. I'm always looking for new places, new houses, boats, yachts, to go jet skiing, horseback riding. I want to make videos all over the place. My music videos. Maybe you have property or a house, ranch home, palace of some sort, condo, a penthouse. Maybe you got a yacht or a speedboat, jet ski. You got horses. You have a farm. What do I have to offer in exchange? Myself. Love. Genuine love. All I want to do is have fun in life if anyone were to ask. Fun, and I want the best of everything. For me. That doesn't mean I want the very best of everything what is considered on the planet, because that's not real. That's only an idea of what's considered to be the best. I want the purest of food, the healthiest of food, the healthiest of water, really nice clothing, a beautiful home, and a beautiful location, a brand new car for once in my life. Brand new, smells like it. Smell me a new car. It can be efficient. I need 4-door. I can put my guitars in the back. Plenty of room to let people ride with. Automatic on the floor. Always has to have a sunroof, moonroof. I don't like to be enclosed in areas. As less as possible. The best of everything. Sound system for my music to play. Maybe a cooler in the trunk so when I put my groceries in there, if I want to run in somewhere else, it will stay at a nice temperature. He introduced me to a lot of newness. All of his friends that he introduced me to, most of them very kind, very loving. And Walt and Ann were 2 of the most incredible. Ann helped me with my first costume to go to a Viking festival. He put pictures online. I wanted to go to this Viking festival. I love to wear costumes. I've been wanting to wear costumes since I was a little kid. Girly costumes. Society's condition, anyone with a penis between their legs, we know the deal. It's changing, thank goodness. I missed out on a lot of things when I was a kid growing up. I wanted to be a cheerleader. Not like a cheerleader like you see them nowadays. That's dancers. I'm saying cheerleader. I wanted to be a cheerleader. And mainly wear the outfit. Maybe date somebody hot who appreciates me. A little bit of Italian in him. I could wrap myself around him. But what I'm learning is, if the whole human race likes somebody to insert into them, then I'm probably better off to be with another girl. Because when it comes to that, you have to look amazing to me. I have to hunger that sweet butt, you know. I'd screw myself in the butt if I could. I mean, you know, myself, of course I would. You know, it's to each his own. Since I have to be more of a top, that's what a lot of guys that I met really appreciate. It's just like a fetish thing. I don't want to be a fetish. I really want to be with somebody special I can share life and passions with. Specifically my music and whatever they're into. Hopefully we have compatible interests. I'm putting a whole list of things that I like on the internet, slowly. Because I realize I've never been taught to do that. I like micro sprint cars. Race cars are my favorite. Drag strips, funny cars, muscle cars. I like hanging out at parks, listening to the radio with my music on it. I love life, healthy living, bicycling, and we have a bunch of them. I'm thinking about going horseback riding with somebody here soon. I just met somebody while I was waiting in line for the food pantry. I got a lot to talk about with that. Donald Trump. Why don't you and your family go stand in line at the food pantry? Don't say you don't have time for it. Nobody has time for it. If that's your attitude, I'd say make time for it. You might find a need that you might be able to help out with. Could be all over the table that you're stepping up to fill a bag and go home and eat it with your wife, if she really is. Introduced to newness. Thank you, Daddy, for that. And when he would walk with me, I remember thinking to myself, he was very, very, very courageous. Because most men would never walk down. They're pussies. Most men are pussies to walk down the street with somebody that sociably is a little bit different. Well, whoop-de-doo-doo, get over yourself, you coward. Most of the time you realize that it's unfortunate when it happens, but I would say probably 75 to 90% of the time, most people can be kind in passing. It's when you get stuck in line at a grocery store and somebody comes up beside you that is uncomfortable with uniqueness. And imagine going through life alone doing that. I have to go through life alone every day. I had to turn it into a comedy thing to laugh. I consider myself to be extremely passable. However, I'm a human being. And images change depending on the angle, the height of somebody. Yada-dee-da-da. Should I talk like this for now? Okay, I'll talk like this. He was very courageous. And what I mean by that is, he didn't care what, he might have thought it in his head, but he didn't show me signs that he cared what other people thought. And most people I've been in the presence of, they want to keep you a closeted secret. Can we keep you in the bedroom, Tracilyn? No. Stay away from me, you fool. I don't want that kind of relationship with anybody ever again. If you can't be with me in the sunlight, then you're something I guess too far differently special than I am. Because I could walk down the street with anybody. I don't care what people say. In fact, I might come up and slap them overside the head for being ignorant. See, I would be more willing to do that when somebody's mean to somebody else than when they're mean to me. With me, God's word is my shield. Let God's word be your shield and keep on moving. See, that's what it's all about. It's a mental, worldly experience. Now, when somebody else does it to somebody else and I see them get hurt, now I might be more adamant to walk over and smack their hat off of their head. Like it makes me want to do to Tim McGraw whenever I hear one of his songs on the radio. Some of us have a livelihood and you're taking up airspace. For every Tim McGraw song that gets played, Tracilyn could take its place. You got a problem with that? I'll come down there to Tennessee, Hendersonville, and tell you. To your doorstep. I don't want to hear you on the radio. Keep it on Hendersonville radio if you must. I don't want to hear it on Ohio radio. Stay in Tennessee with your music on the radio. Well, you're free too, right? In Christ. Yeah, and you've been hogging up airspace. Helping how many people are you helping when doing that? Whole staff of people, huh? Well, how many staffs of people I could be helping by having my song on the radio? And how many lives could be saved because of it? And you know what that means by saved? It means the unhealthiness of thinking that somebody is something they're not because their song's been on the radio for 30 years. Timothy. You live close to Kenny? Hi, Kenny. How you doing, baby? You like that? Hi, Ken. How you doing? My name's Tracilyn. You enjoying Hendersonville? You and Timothy playing together? Friends is the next thing on my list. Look, it really is. Next door neighbor friends. Friends. He had a lot of amazing friends. Now, can I tell you, there were situations like what happened with me and a she-male, I call it. She was known as a she-male here in Dayton, Ohio. I'm not going to mention her name. She came over. She had HIV. She was with one of my other girlfriends that I was thinking to myself, I hope they're being safe. All I wanted to make sure is my girlfriend being safe when having sex. That's it. If they do. It's none of my business, right? It's not my business. If they have sex, then it would be my hope, please be safe. Just in case. Not everybody gets infected right away or does get infected. Understand my concern here. Don't gang up on me because I'm bringing this up. I was concerned for my friend. I don't want her to be infected with HIV. It's already sad that somebody else is and that other people are. And I was scared for my life that I could be because I was an escort for a while. I slept with a lot of people, but I was always safe. And only God could keep me safe, okay? I was scared for my life. HIV free. Hallelujah in the name of Jesus Christ. So I understood the dangers, especially if you're with somebody and they definitely have it. Okay, they know it. Okay, none of my business though, but I cared. Now there's the thing, I wake up and I step in her blood and I didn't even have any shoes on. God kept me safe. I was very upset, very angry when he said, just clean it up. Stop complaining and go back to your bedroom. And then I cleaned it up with bleach. I messed up the carpet, I'm sorry. I would have replaced it if I could. That was really mean, Daddy, that you said those words to me. Why didn't you clean it up? How do you think I felt stepping in bare feet into HIV, blood spilled on the bathroom floor unexpectedly? I didn't know it was going to be there. Nobody warned me. And by the way, if I was infected, or even if I didn't, forget all that. If I just spilled blood from my body on the bathroom floor, I would clean it up. And I would tell that girl today, if you're ever at anybody's house and you spill blood, whether you have a disease or not, clean it up. Don't be a slob, especially in somebody else's house. Which brings us to another thing that I was upset about. This same girl is an amazing computer person. I really liked her. I don't know what was really the friction in our minds, but I know that probably added something to it because I was upset that it was there and everybody was perceiving me in a household as a mental case and they were disrespecting me continuously. All I was a complainer. I was with all the wrong people, Joyce Myers, and you told me these are the people through the television, on the computer. You told me, Joyce Myers, take the credit. You told me these are the people for me to love. God did give you people to love. Stop being selfish with your life. I'm going to do more with my music in this lifetime than your ministry will in its existence. Do you know that? Do you know who you're talking to? Through your television. It could be your nightmare. Because we all know that more people would be willing to listen to Miley Cyrus, Lady Gaga, and Madonna through the television screen than they would to some crazy preacher person preaching the gospel through the screen. Off it goes. We want to see the booty shake, right? Joyce Myers, what do you think it felt like for me to wake up one day and step into a big puddle of blood, knowing that it was infected with HIV? Actually, I was hoping it wasn't. I had to actually question them, and that upset them very much. They didn't like to be questioned. Who does? Well, how did it happen? What happened? Is everyone all right? Joyce Myers, is everyone in our house all right? I just woke up and I stepped in a puddle of blood with this foot right here. Joyce Myers, look at this. Do you see it? My right foot, and it splashed all over the place. On her sink cabinet, Joyce Myers. I'm thinking, what happened? I was in my bedroom. I kept it locked for reasons. Rape. Who knows what else? I was an escort for years. And I tried to knock on the door. I didn't try to break in their room or nothing. I tried to knock. I was questioning them, getting into their heads. I was trying to get in their heads. What happened? And then when I found out, I probably lost all the blood in my face. I was scared. I just stepped in HIV. What could happen? I don't know. How soon before that it becomes not contaminated anymore? This was a major blood spill in our bathroom. It was major. It splashed. It went on the wall. It went on our bathroom sink. And now the man that I'm trying to love, the only person on this planet that would help me, tells me to stop complaining and to clean it up myself and go back to bed like I was a bratty little kid. What do you think I felt like, Joyce Myers, when I went back in there? God, why aren't you delivering me out of this? Joyce Myers, why doesn't God deliver us out of things? Because we don't pack up our bags and just walk out, right? Because God is every word we ever been taught, and it's our belief system. The problem is our government has so many complications in its laws that makes it next to, I would have got arrested as soon as I stepped out. Don't ask me how, a million ways how. I couldn't even lay on the front yard there in Huber Heights. Cop came over and insisted that somebody made a call. I was naked. I wasn't naked. However, I think I should be able to be if I wanted to be. That's the kind of yard I should have. If I want to be naked, I'm naked. Who's naked? God, you know what God's talking about when he's talking about naked? Figure it out. Because I wasn't called to be a preacher. And by the way, when God's talking about clothing, women's clothing, men's clothing, do you realize that it's about identity and how we clothe ourselves? Don't look at the material here. Stop looking in the physical world. It's how we clothe ourselves, your mannerisms, your kindness. But I had bad teachers, Joyce Myers. They didn't talk like I talk. I could be a pastor, and all I need is that one stage, Joyce. And my ministry will begin. Donations, please. It helps keep the ministry alive. And I care very much about my ministry. Zod told me he would always be there. When I was on the phone and I was ready to jump off the bridge, George Washington Bridge, I pled my heart out. He said, come to Ohio and I will help you. Now, granted, he helped me many ways and he's not the one who knows all the answers. I've reached out for years to all kinds of people. He's getting stressed and frustrated as I'm trying to get things right in my heart. There's something inside of me I really need to do. I need to get this straightened out. I can't be stuck living in other people's ideas of life, Joyce Myers. How do I get my personal needs met so I can have time to think about this? Well, the local mental hospital used to lock transsexuals and people like me up years ago for their whole entire life. Thank you, government. How about raising children right and educating them intelligently so they don't have to be locked up in mental hospitals? How about the government surrender to Tracilyn all the resources necessary to do a nationwide tour, and I get to share an inspirational message. Do you ever feel like you have to do something, Trump? It's in you to really do something honest. You don't want to hurt people. If everything is God's, and everything was given to his one and only Son, Jesus Christ, and everyone who believes in Jesus Christ, equally, government, not portionately, all is given to. This is God's country, not man's. Something tells me the real name isn't America. It's something else. Somebody came here long before it was named America. And that name most likely has a very unique meaning. If I could date some of the most amazing world leaders on this planet, I might rename the country Tracilyn. How could that be done? You'd be surprised how God could do it. You mean to tell me America would be named Tracilyn? I could have everybody booted off too. It's mine. What if I was reincarnated and I were here to tell you that I am everything that you eat, everything you drink, everything you step on? And what if every once in a while I come back to keep everybody else in check? It's wake up time, says Alex Jones. Hey, Alex Jones, when you see Willie Nelson again, tell him about Stephen C. Johnson and that I know Stephen C. Johnson from Derby, New York on Old Lake Shore Drive. Right, I screwed his cameraman from Lucky Films. Okay, the cowboy, not once, but twice. He did me from behind. Why? Because I look more like a woman from behind. The penis thing he didn't like too much. Tell him I said hello, and if he ever sees me again, as long as he has on a silver lining, he can gladly come into my room anytime. Yeehaw. Now, here's the thing. He said he would help me. I came out here, and he kept insisting he was going to help me with my SRS. Government, this is an educational video. YouTube. Why can't I show you my penis? We call it clitorius. Isn't it glorious? It's my magic wand. Many people will say, accept yourself. That's the way God created you. It's the mentalness. You got to get everything here. That's right. But sometimes God says in Scripture, if it causes you to sin, then cut it off. Well, there went the testicles. I can actually focus now. I don't want to cut it off. Because I learned that they don't cut it off, they actually slice it. Like a hot dog. and they invert it in. Technology's on its way. It's gonna be quite amazing. Here's the thing. I'm sick of the human race looking at me as though I should be injecting inside of it. I'm considered a bottom, and I know if I could promote myself properly that there'd be a real nice top here somewhere on this planet. He might even love that I actually have talent. You have talent and you look that good? And you love it in the butt? Well, we should get together. I know. Please tell me that you're extremely well-to-do, sir. Indeed I am. You are. When are you gonna fly me to you? See, I know, and be careful. I'm a person of royalty. I am worthy of the finest of everything. I'm convinced. And if I don't receive it in this life form, then I may sue the entire Christian community for lying to me. You see, Joel Osteen, I see myself much different. I see myself the real that I am. Now, I can't help other people don't see it. They weren't given the same eyes that I have been given. Now, according to Scripture, I'm entitled to everything necessary right here. This is where heaven is, Joel. But I didn't learn that listening to your program, okay? You did not teach me that. You avoided it. I didn't even know that God was every word. I knew what? The basis of God is everything. But I didn't really learn that from a specific teacher. There's God, right there, a moth. Look at it, a butterfly, is it? You'll see when you watch my videos, how I'm being targeted is via satellite, is there's this little white light. Watch. You are holy. And you'll see it on my face go across. It's a white light. I seen it in my apartment yesterday. Now, under my understanding, it penetrates through just about anything of the earth. And when the laser goes through, it's invisible to the eye. But for some reason, the light reflects off of various objects. If only you can catch it at the right time. So they always aim it for the back of the head. And when they do that, they can actually get a readout on all of your thoughts in your mind. Now, why doesn't the government educate us on how to combat this? I don't think a fat man in Derby, New York, connected to Willie Nelson and Toby Keith, and all the other people in the music industry should have access to my thoughts or the privacy of my home. My driver's licenses are missing Willie Nelson, Toby Keith, Bret Michaels, John Bon Jovi, Miley Cyrus. William, my driver's license have gone missing in my home. My birth certificate was taken. I'm convinced somebody was trying to take my personal identity in the music industry. I wonder who that was. They didn't want me to share that I used to be Todd Michael. That's what my mom named me, Todd Michael Arndt. I didn't like Arndt. People couldn't pronounce it. I didn't like it ever since first grade at Harding Elementary School, when they pronounced it first. And it said on my name tag, it said Arndt Todd. And why didn't I like it? Because people made fun of me and they said I are not Todd. In first grade, the second time around, kids laughed at me and they said I are not Todd. That was God. I are not Todd. I am Tracilyn. Michael is the name, the centerpiece of the two wrongs that were in my life. And the Lord showed me a name that came from two, the beginning and what was hoped to be the end of the most beautiful girl relationships I ever had. My best friends. Tracy, who doesn't want to talk to me anymore. I understand. Mental case. I or you, both of us, I get it. Lynn. I am Tracilyn. And the industry likes to use people's names. Did you notice that Tracilyn Jones popped out of somewhere? How long has she been out there? I don't know. I never seen her before. Tracilyn Ministries. I was going to, and I still am. Hold on a minute. I started Tracilyn Ministries in 2010 with a friend to pretend. You see, I have a very childlike mentality. Christ brought me back into my inner child up here. That's why I wore diapers, and I had a daddy. And these people in the industry took advantage of me. Joyce, what do you think of those rock and rollers? Like Def Leppard, who say to hell with the Christ. Only a fool would say that, because everything, including their band equipment, everything that they own, it's not theirs, it's God's. And God could take everything away from him. Because this is God's country. This is God's planet. All the guitars, all the tours, everything. God is the one who taketh and giveth. Only we haven't been taught properly what God is. And when you're in Christ, and that's where God loves us. Oh, God loves us. That's when you will start to notice everything around you is in harmony. And what you say becomes a reality. So you speaketh like the Lord. And in come pixel. And God didn't make us what? We are still here on this earth and we are meant to live freely. Donald Trump. I need something here that has an account with my name on it that says I can live freely. That's the Holy Bible. And the Holy Bible warns us that man and the demons of Satan don't want us to live freely. Are you sure there's not a very powerful group of world leaders in another country that would like me to love them in exchange for life in America? Total freedom. We can arrange that, Donald Trump. God can arrange anything. Ask NASA. Who do they take up there? Hey, Trump, who do you think NASA penetrates up into outer space and uses them for different reasons? Because in my opinion, this whole electronic harassment, they pick on girls in the adult entertainment industry. They observe them for a while. They lead them into BDSM and harder play sex. And then it gets even worse than that, satanic life. And sometimes I'm convinced, but I would never say for certain without acknowledging it myself with my witnessing it with my eyes, that NASA probably uses people in outer space too. Why? Because it's just a means for them. In other words, a lot of people don't appreciate human life like I do, like God does. And I inhaled something in that bottle when I was in Las Vegas. I want the video footage of that so people can see what I'm talking about. Las Vegas, I want that video footage. It happened on June 1st, 2012. Garth Brooks, I think, was in the area, or he was coming soon. Now here's the thing, said would be there. He said he would be there. And I would say it's a 50-50. He was for me 50% of the time, and the other 50% of the time he was a total asshole to me. I tried to pour out my heart. I tried to tell him what it was I needed. I didn't really know. How do I know? I need freedom. But I didn't want his money. I would cry to him and tell him what I was going through, and he would help me. However, he not only promised me that he was going to help me with the SRS, and then he never did. In fact, when we were over at Beaver Creek, and as we were leaving, he put his hand on my lap, and I was like, you creep. Just like that. I don't want to keep... Look, to live, I don't want to have to be with somebody or have sex. Whatever happened to being friends for a season of time, having compatible interests? I was going through the worst time in my life. I'm on parole. Or not parole. I'm sorry. What am I on? I am on probation. I'm not on parole. I'm not on parole, honest officer. I'm not on parole. I'm on probation for a crime I didn't even commit. I'm serving time to homeless people or people who are in hunger. How's that? They weren't all homeless. Hunger. See, that's why God says to us, my home is wherever my head is. Look it up in Scripture. God houses God's self inside our heads. Every word you hear, that's God. Isn't that wonderful once you realize that? The formation that's inside. Joyce Myers and Joel Osteen back in the day didn't teach like I can teach you. Were they cowards? Why did they skip all of this? It's all psychology, and I learned that at LCBC. I started to realize that Dave Ashcraft must be some kind of psychological genius. The problem is there was no net there, and they did leave out a lot of the very detailed information. But let's look at my pictures when I was Todd Michael Arndt. Starting at LCBC, see, they ought to, at LCBC, they ought to take a picture your first day, and then if you get mad and take off and go away or whatever ends up happening in time down the road, they should take another picture. That's true success, baby. This is a person before really coming into the Holy Bible and learning, not just coming to Christ. Coming to Christ is coming into the fruits of the Spirit, the love, the mercy, the forgiveness, the grace, and all that other stuff. And it will, and it is quite the challenging. So you can say coming into Christ, But let me tell you something. As you learn mentally, you will be transformed because you were living a worldly self. Look at my picture on my Facebook. Todd was a miserable person, very depressed. Wanted to be a cheerleader, wanted to marry somebody, have a kid. I wanted to actually have a physical kid. I'm sure medical science probably already can, and they're coming a long ways with it if they're not, but I'm convinced that they already can. You know, DNA. What is it? You want to branch off part of yourself, and it's another way for you to love yourself. But you have something physical to counteract, like holding a mirror. Instead of just a mirror, you actually have a human life. You know, when I would see people walking through like Hershey Park when I was a kid, I would kind of look at the parents and then look at the children. Now, were they really the real parents or the adopted parents? Which would make them real parents, right? Are they the grandparents? Are they their aunt? I didn't know. But there were times that you could see like a father and a son, a mother and a daughter, maybe two daughters. And I just thought that, to me, was one of the most miraculous blessings in the world. And I'm here to tell you that though we had the king of rock and roll, know that the king of rock and roll's career was not all about just his talent, his good looks, his, Christ-like spirit that shined through him with his shyness. I love Elvis a lot for what it means to me, and I always will. It's the most powerful image on the planet to me. But if you can't have the real thing, what's an imitation? I remember my prayer, God send to me in human form all the elements that made Elvis Presley. It wasn't long after that I met Junior, and I don't know if he's really the real deal or not. I would like to think at some point Elvis probably had some kids that nobody knows about. In other words, Elvis Enterprise, in my opinion, as I learned over the years, is an enterprise, and they're willing to deceive, to be crooked, to do whatever they want to do to create whatever they want to create for whatever reason they want to create, and they justify it. Okay? That part of it pisses me off, and I'm not afraid to share it. I just did. Enough. Okay. Not only that, when I moved into Huber Heights, Zod specifically told me that in the event that anything would ever happen to him, that he was going to leave a large sum of money. I will not say how much, but to others they would say, well, you would most certainly be considered a millionaire in our country. Yes. And the truth of the matter is, he was going to leave that in his will, not only for me, but for somebody else in his family. I won't say. It's irrelevant. But in other words, he spoke extraordinaire. Now, in my opinions, in the court, also understand that as a military wife, if I were to marry, I would have received an Italian name, and also, I think there's military benefits that go along with that for a widower. What would I be here? Widower? Widower? Widowee? Put it in the comment. What is it? But I didn't want nothing to happen to him in order to have life or to have freedom. What good is money and all the stuff that would have been offered to me? A pension of some sort? Think about what the military thinks about that. They don't want that, do they? I bet you they split up a lot of freaking lives. Electronic harassment. They don't want people freaking enjoying their life. Do you understand that the biggest thing is they don't want people to live their life freely? They want who they want to live freely. But the masses, they don't want that. Well, when you realize that you don't understand the details, but you had the Elvis Ice Cream Mart incident, you wrote the song Ragtop Cadillac in Memphis, and you had a huge love for Elvis, you shared your story. Your story is worthy of being shared on national television set. I have a story above most people's ordinary story. And that's the problem with Hollywood. They stay focused on an image like Elvis versus somebody who loved that image, like Tracilyn, who's still alive, right, Elvis? And why would they need to invade the privacy, if they do, of other people to create an empire? Why would they have to steal people's songs? Figure it out. There's multitude reasons why. Well, if it ever happened to you, you would think much different than I. Maybe they would have had people volunteering. All kinds of things if they would just not be so greedy and selfish. Well, they're not, Tracilyn. They do a lot for the community. Okay, we'll let it there. But know this, if you're feeding into an image, look around you, look in the mirror. You should be feeding into life. And maybe that's why all of the streets here in Dayton, Ohio and abroad America and the sidewalks are all broken down and things are growing over. And I'm going to go on and on. I'm going to share with you the details and why people on welfare demanded that they have to do this or they have to do that. The government should be should all individually be sued for demanding such outlandish demands into the lives of other people. They do not have the right to play God with other people's lives. We don't serve the government. The government is what? Should be honoring God and the lives of other people. We're here for life. Shame on the government who is not for life. See, it's a government that's not for life that I don't like. And that lives through all of us. In other words, God is everything, but Jesus Christ might be a very thin line. That's the portion of God we want to fall madly, obsessively in love with. It's going to lead us into our own truths, wholeness, fulfillment. Well, that's what it says. Well, now I'm still waiting because I got a life inside of me. This is heaven up here. Now, here's the thing. But these are things that he said. And I remember one day when we were walking towards the King's Rural or something like that store in Huber Heights. Actually, was it there? Hold on. It might have been at Kroger's. And we got out of the car at Kroger's. And my head was really foggy. Electronic harassment, most likely. Yeah, they put a freeze on your brain. It can do all kinds of things that I don't want to talk about, but I can only imagine a lot of the sicknesses in America come from people playing with other people's lives via satellite. There's only one way they got up there, right, NASA? NASA, isn't there one way they got up there? You put them up there. Wouldn't you like to know what's orbiting around the planet? Brought to you by NASA. If anybody out there ever wants to shut them down, all you got to do is have investigators go along with yourself, go through the whole training program and go up into outer space and see exactly what they have up there. Who's checking it out? There's occupations there. NASA, you got to answer and be held accountable for your actions. Why are these people on planet Earth electrocuting people or doing something with lasers? I see laser lights. Look at my videos, NASA. Explain it to me why there's a laser that's going by my head, by my brain, and reflecting off my equipment when I'm in the middle of nowhere or in my apartment. Because a lot of people think it's their next door neighbor. Downstairs, upstairs, it's somewhere within the house. They're feeding off the electricity. I'm here to tell you I can be in the middle of nowhere and they can zap my legs. I believe there's a chip or a microphone inside of us and they're doing it via what? Laser. Computer. Thanks, NASA. I came here for life. I used to really look up to you. I loved you guys. I'm feeling the pain of that many times over. When we were walking into the Kroger's or the King's Rural, he held my hand, and I knew I felt the compassion he was feeling towards my mental sickness, which might have been electronic harassment, my mental sickness. And basically he was like, I will never leave you. Was that God talking through him? Maybe I was looking at a man instead of listening to God. God said, I will never leave you. God said, I will see to it that you have your surgery, if that's what you really desire. Maybe God's the one who said, I'll leave you a real nice pension, and you'll get your millions, because you're worth it. I remember when Daddy took a picture of me at a girls' night out, and I remember thinking to myself that God has someone very, very special for me. Well, if God's a very jealous God, Joyce Myers, wants me all to God's self, and I realize that that's the best way to go about things once we get going, then look out, because I'm going to be around for quite a few years, and I'm going to have my millions. And you know what millions is to me? Like a leaf on a tree. I hope it wasn't poison. Was that you, Bret Michaels, in Las Vegas? If it was, you had a tiny penis. And if it wasn't, then the look-alike you had a tiny penis. And maybe Bret should sue you for impersonating a Bret Michaels with a tiny penis. Do you ever think that that might be where egos come from? People with tiny penises. Stephen had a very tiny penis. Very tiny. It was disappointing to me. Because I thought to myself, you know, maybe we could get a publishing deal out of this, right, Willie Nelson? But it looked to me that all of you people had something much different planned. I read Willie Nelson's Tahoe book, or is that what it was? Very inspirational. We all wanted to smoke weed with Willie and listen to him play. But he shouldn't be on the radio anyway. There's other Willie Nelsons in the world, and they might not want to smoke weed with you. They might want to love you differently. He said he would be there. said the surgery, the finances, health insurance, the Italian name. I don't know. I got the name Michael, and that to me means a lot. Michael is the archangel that booted Satan out of the kingdom. Did you know that? I could tell you some interesting insights on the Bible that people don't even focus on. Maybe I should have some story time. Maybe read a little bit of scripture every once in a while and then share with you my perspective and warn you, be very careful. It may be true that I don't know what I'm talking about. Because God says clearly in scripture, who's to understand the mind of God? We, as a human race, we do not even understand our own minds. How can we understand the mind of God? Now, Jesus spoke many times, and he didn't give the scripture, what? Chapter, book, and verse number. He just simply said, it was written. In other words, it's already been done. And I'm almost done. I'm ready to stop sharing my whole entire life story and anger. The people I say I don't like, I don't like. Bon Jovi, I never want to see you face to face again. And take this as a serious acknowledgement, because I would sue you. Because I know this video exists and that you will see it. Faithful and true are the servants of the Lord. Daddy said he'd always be there, so mention about the surgery, mention about leaving. Well, I didn't want the will, I wanted love. His love, unconditional. Man can't give love unconditional, only God can. See, my people would say to me my expectations maybe were too high. Well, thank you, Joel Osteen. I'll see you in court, okay? Should I come down to Houston or you come to Dayton? My expectations in accordance with Scripture is not too high. It's that America has fallen for a bunch of corrupted assholes who lost compassion for humanity. They don't want to give humans the best of everything. They want the best of everything. Why is there $1 million cars? Hundreds of thousands of dollars car? Why can't I have one? I'll take good care of it. I can't promise that the next door neighbors or somebody at Walmart won't bang up the doors. You know, I can't promise that I can wash it every day. I can take it to the car wash. I can't promise that I could even afford to replace the parts. But how can everybody else do this, Donald Trump? Why are we supporting all these rock stars? Steven, when I was down in Nashville, Tennessee at the Commodore, he told me that there's only 30 recording artists signed on any given year. I told him this year it's going to be 31. Let me ask you something. Why wasn't I ever receiving this mysterious contract with a signature? That I get a paycheck. And if all these rock stars are faking life, that they have some kind of good life, they should not legally be allowed to do that because it can destroy the lives of other people. For many reasons. Entertainment, huh? That's what they write it off as. It's not entertainment. It's mind manipulation. Donald Trump, I'm worth millions and I want to receive it in this lifetime. I'm a hardworking person. I got a lot to offer in exchange for a beautiful, luxurious life. I need the best of everything. I want to play beautiful theaters with my music with a select few covers that I will record in the future. Right, Chris Christopherson? Because I'm going to record your song and I'm going to do the best version ever done. Sorry, Pink. Tracilyn's here. Right? See, all these recording artists, Mr. Trump, you're from New York, they had their chance for years, decades. There's other talent in America. They might not be willing to submit to your royalty position because they are here to submit to God, not man. I require the best of everything. And God told me I was going to receive millions. Joyce Myers, you said double for your trouble. I say double that and no, it's not enough. I need the best of everything. And I need an RV to travel in. Might need a tour bus. We can go over the details once I start mathematically figuring it out, and I can. Will we have to include oil changes and all that other stuff? Do I lease? Do I rent? Hey, Donald Trump, do we have charitable donations of tour buses and RVs, or do we consider renting or leasing it for the tour? These are things I'm going to figure out. Not to mention road expenses. Because Donald Trump, all this is a write-off, right? Business expenses are write-offs in our country. That's because the government and the IRS are crooked and they overstep their bounds. We should not be taxed for every single thing in the whole wide world. It's free. And with real leaders, we wouldn't have to tax anyone, but we could teach them how to live. Rock and roll ministry. You see, because as I go through this life, I'm convinced that the ministry is going to really mean something. Right, Joyce Myers? My rock and roll music ministry? The ministry outreach that does all kinds of wonderful things? How? I don't know how yet. God, how? The keys with Tracilyn on silver will get left behind. See, sometimes you got to turn into an asshole to get people to listen to you. I'm done submitting demos and promo kits. Press kits? I stopped using them in less than 2 weeks when I was back in 2000 when I was doing solo acoustic shows. I realized what's best. I just show up and I show them that they want me to play in their venue. Because in my head, I'm good enough, but now I know I'm the best. Because if I wasn't the best, then Bon Jovi would have a blue Cadillac type car, even though it's not. Right? They wouldn't be looking to Tracilyn for ideas. Well, greatness comes from within. They just haven't figured it out. Satanists, they always look outward. It's always out there. People who got it right with Christ, they know it all comes from Christ. Indefinite. You like when I use your name, Bon Jovi? I always wondered if Bon Jovi was a closeted bisexual or if he was considered gay. Do you think? Do you think he's a transsexual, closeted? Do you think he might be a cross-dresser? You see, because years ago, if these rock and rollers really were of any of the LGBT community, maybe they're queer. The truth of the matter is they could have made my life easy by just being open with their life. You took a position of leadership, whether you want to accept it or not. That fact. You owe all of America. Is Bon Jovi gay? What is he? How does he fit along the alphabet? Is he A, B, C, D, E, F, or G? Because LGBTQ is simply letters and names, labels that have been given to a group of humans that accept them as a label. If you are gay, then I'm gay. In other words, if I say I'm gay, then I'll accept that, right? If I accept that I'm gay, then I'm gay. I'm not gay. I've been saying it for years. I am, and I identify as female, and I know that I'm a transitional existence. So therefore, I classify, if we go by body part, penis says I'm a male. According to the worldly doctors, that's BS. It's all about psychology. Then I'm a transitional existence from male to female. Well, guess what? All my transsexual family, even that Caitlyn, is it? Hey, Caitlyn, I heard your story in tidbits when I was going to the doctor's office. They think pretty high in that you're a remarkable person. Only you don't have the story like I have. And I've been reaching out to people in the entertainment industry for years. Am I difficult to get along with, Caitlyn? What's the secret? Huh? I don't want to rain on another transsexual's parade. I'm pissed. I was trying to start a transsexual female ministry specifically to help people in the transsexual female community. And Daddy was just throwing all these people into the household. Do you know why? Because that's Satan's way of wrecking life. You want a ministry? You want a ministry, Tracilyn? Ha ha ha. We'll just throw all these transsexual females in there. We'll pre-program them to not like you. Caitlyn, that's what happened to me. And because I was at the mercy of this one man, electronic harassment, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Electronic communications, come on, be honest about it. You know about it. Everybody in the entertainment mainstream knows about this. Stephen and the people in the entertainment industry were trying to wreck my life. Joyce Myers, God has a huge calling on my life, so I thought back then. It's to be my true self, stay true to my heart's desires, because that's where my real life is. But I didn't know that watching your program. Caitlyn, listen to me, girl. I came out here in 2009 crying to my daddy that he was calling me into a rock and roll ministry. God was calling me into a rock and roll ministry. In time, I really was convinced that my heart's desires were for transsexual females, specifically because of what I went through. I didn't know how it was going to take shape or what to do with this. Can I tell you that in 2012, when I stepped out onto the streets, And I started learning there's another Tracilyn Ministries spelled differently. Black lady. And by the way, I live in a black neighborhood. Most certainly I would say that I really love my neighbors. It's becoming. I had to heal first. I'm proud to live in a black neighborhood that I am very, very thankful for. And for the most part, everything has been really good for me. You know, I mind my own business and say hi, and I learned living in an apartment building to stay focused on Jesus Christ in all of us and take my focus off of a human being. The problem was when these people were coming into, Caitlin, when these people were coming into the Huber Heights house, it wasn't clear to me exactly yet what it was that I felt for certain that God was leading me to. It's become very clear to me now, and it gets clearer as time progresses for all of us. The problem is, Daddy is bringing in all of these people within the community. In fact, it's some are trans, some are gay guys, and everybody, children, there's all kinds of people. Now here's the thing, at that time, I didn't feel that it was a house ministry for just people. I really felt specific for transsexual females. I was very adamant about that. And then in time, in 2012, it started because of all the difficulties in my sharing that I already shared. I felt it was more of a children's rock and roll ministry. That's when I started really getting into Joel Osteen. Things didn't work out right, Joel? Got to shake it off. The transsexual female ministry didn't work out. Guess what? It could have. If you bring people into a home properly, and you don't just let people come in and walk all over everybody else. It's got to have a structure. It's got to have, what? An acknowledgement. This is how we live here. We do want to help. We need to pull together and work together. That's what it's for. A house ministry functions together. Feeding ourselves, taking care of the property, taking care of the home. I was getting a large portion of what was going on in that situation. I don't want to discuss it. I really went through this. My whole life story says I've been having my ass kicked my whole life, especially since I came out in my love and walk with Jesus Christ. With that being said, 2012, Children's Rock and Roll Ministry, I end up on the streets because I tell my daddy I need to figure things out for the first time in my life. And that's when I realized Stephen C. Johnson is watching me via satellite. What do you think of that? Pervert. He's a rapist in another way. He's raping all of my desires, my passions, my thoughts. And then all of a sudden, Caitlin, is that your real name? Caitlin comes along. Never heard of Caitlin before. Evidently, what did you do? Was it basketball, race car? I don't know what it was that you did. I really don't know. I don't follow these things. I'm out of the media. I'm not into it. And you started your transition, and so you became who you are, and I don't know nothing about you, except for you are. Is it real? Is it not real? There's been a lot of change since 2012, and can I tell you, Caitlin, whether you want to believe it or not, a lot of that change came from Stephen C. Johnson and a whole lot of people in the entertainment industry plugging into my brain, invading my privacy, using my thoughts, the inspiration of my songs, my life story that I shared. They've been trying to shut me down on YouTube, Caitlin. Shut me down! They did it through my thoughts. They tried to shut me down and get me to kill myself, Caitlin. I was in bed for 6 weeks, scared out of my wits. They used the government and being on public assistance that I shouldn't be living life at all. Now take everything down. And I took down my YouTube channel. They made it very clear. I saw my Time to Pump It video moving up like a speedometer on the view counts over on when I was living over in 2012, 2013, over in Huber Heights. I witnessed that. I witnessed it, but I didn't have a camera to show anybody. They've been playing with me on Facebook. They made it appear like my whole Facebook was in a whole nother country. They changed the view counts on both YouTube and Facebook. They made it appear, at least, that I had over 27,000 subscribers during the time you came into the public acknowledgement as you were. Miley Cyrus started some kind of ministry for the trans youths. I have a problem with people who start things for trans youth. Sometimes there's a trans somebody who the world considers to be older and should be able to take care of themselves by now, but has a very childlike mentality, right, Miley Cyrus? And a lot of those ideas end up getting used by assholes in the industry who are trying to build an image like Elvis Presley. You gonna have a museum, Miley? Where do most of your ideas come from, Miley Cyrus? Or should I ask your father, William? Are you the 50s girl, Miley Cyrus? Because I have a license plate. When I came out here to Huber Heights, the registration said 50s girl. I'm the 50s girl. That's right, with a penis. Ever since I was done seeing Stephen C. Johnson in 2010, October it was, right near my birthday, all of a sudden Miley Cyrus is doing 50s music style videos. Did you have a scarf around your neck like I did in 2011? Some people build their whole entire life and career off of the life of another. And that comes back at you full force, Miley. I can do all the things that I can do, and if they weren't smoldering me on Facebook and YouTube, statistically alone, it would be acknowledged that Tracilyn is the 50s girl of this century. If you listen to my life story, a lot of what I talked about, just like my Nebraska photo shoot and stuff, we'll see that people like Miley Cyrus and other people in the industry have been using me as a resource. Can I prove it? Can I prove it? Well, it depends. Can I get my hands on somebody who can bust into Stephen C. Johnson's home and confiscate his computer and all of his possessions to find out what he's exactly using to monitor me? Is everybody in the industry watching me via satellite? Like on Google Map, live in action? If you are, you're a bunch of perverts, criminals, and you all should be locked up in prison. Now, Caitlin, why would a woman of Christ, myself, have gone through all that I've gone through, reached out to people, be as incredible as a songwriter as I am, all right? I don't dance and twirl around like all that other hokey-pokey stuff like the Backstreet Boys. By the way, Backstreet Law would have kicked Backstreet Boys' asses in general. Show business is not what we think it is. When it comes down to God, God likes to show others for God's purposes and reasoning. And therefore, there should be no woman or man that should smolder out another one. Right, Toby Keith? See, they use people like me as a resource, Caitlin, and then they feed. I actually am a genius, and I had I had 40 years of life, as we all did. And all they got to do is Stephen's listening to me and monitoring me, and then he's telling other people how to go about doing things. And they're doing it through electronic means, or laser, or mind chip. They say mind control. It's not mind. They can't control you, but they can tamper with your thoughts and convince you that it's your own thoughts and it's not, it's artificial intelligence. I don't not like you, Caitlin. God be with you. Because I can only imagine what life is really like for you off of camera. However, I look down when I'm Tracilyn with somebody else coming out in the general domain as Caitlin. Why are you so special that we should see your transition and not the transition of many others? Maybe somebody who's been reaching out for years for people in the entertainment industry, I have something to offer in exchange for life. Maybe I should be on Larry King Live. Actually, it should be somebody else. Larry King's kind of, we need new youth. We need young blood. I'm sick of seeing these same people day in and day out. That's why I was glad I heard that Jerry Springer show got canceled. I don't know if it did. If it did, congratulations. I clap my thumb and I clap my middle finger. Because Jerry Springer's show wanted me to get on and do a Jerry Springer show kind of thing, pulling people's wigs off. Caitlin, back in the day, did you ever wear a wig? I wore a wig once to go out to New York. It was the last time I did it. And it was the only time, except for wearing my rainbow clown out wig. Okay? Outside of that, my hair was really short. You know why? Because I just want to be myself is what I realized. I personally want to just naturally be me. Minor cosmetic surgeries and stuff, and I don't down anybody, for wanting to do any alterations on their body. That's their God-given right. But for me, different. I may want to do alterations on my body over the years. Unfortunately, my freedom has been kept from me because assholes have been using me as a resource, and they wanted me, what? They stole my identity, Caitlin. People in show business, driver's license from Todd Michael Arndt, Todd Michael, Tracilyn Michael in Pennsylvania when I was still a male, had a male on it. I wasn't a male, but they had the male marker on it. My birth certificate was missing, my forms were missing. I believe that people in show business try to keep everything in what they call the family. And if you're in part of the family, just like now we had Elvis the King, now we had Lisa. We all loved Lisa, right? But let's love Lisa for being Lisa and not Lisa the King's daughter. Now we have Lisa's children too. Why don't we hear that their daughters are waiting tables or flipping burgers at McDonald's? Okay? They're not any special more than any other children running around a low-income place. I'm sick when people have something to offer. Publishers, you're assholes for turning me down. Steven, you're an idiot for harassing me and not being legit. Willie Nelson, Toby Keith, you're idiots if you're friends with somebody like Stephen C. Johnson. Bon Jovi, you too. Zot got married in 2012. He wanted me to hold the camera while he got married. I don't mind. But it seemed to me like mentally he was trying to purposely hurt me. No, I realize it. You look, God has called me into a rock and roll ministry. I really feel strong about this. I want to do it what I want to say is what means the most to me, I want to do. The details matter. If we would have been taught right, we would understand that the details matter and we would have been able to set everything up in our life. Clap with your thumb and your middle finger to all the right people. And Jerry Springer, I didn't have a problem with you specifically, but that show, they're a bunch of assholes. I had a really hard life, Jerry. I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to be on the Howard Stern show at one time too. Tracilyn can't be on anything. Why is the entertainment industry such a bunch of assholes? Why can't I be on something? Why can't I be a part of something? Am I a difficult person? You don't know how difficult I am. Because technically I could sue everybody for what? Mental abuse. You're mental abusers. Howard Stern is one of the biggest mental abusers on the freaking planet. Anybody who falls into agreement with that is surely going to be just like, well, look out. Now we're going to have a bunch of Howard Sterns running around. All right. With that being said, after he got married, time went on, made things more difficult. He made promises like I could stay living somewhere at the Huber Heights house for like 3 years. That 3 years didn't last. There was somebody there, very challenging relationship for all of us to live in the household. Tracilyn is the one who had to move. Tracilyn, if given, if I had an account to work with, could prove that I could take the same house, fix it all up, house it with other people, and enjoy life. But when you're stuck living in the idea of others, it doesn't work too well like that when they're the opposite of your free way of thinking. Daddy, that was really bad of you to put me in that situation. I tried speaking up many times very kindly. You wouldn't listen to me. I'm going to have a video to show you in a little bit because I don't know, Daddy, do you think it was electronic harassment? Or do you think it was God for real? I had a dream, and that dream showed me the field where the silver bird went down from the Wright B. Flyer Museum. And as we were walking, me and God didn't show himself, no image. There was no man. As we were walking closer to where the plane went down, God told me that Zot did this. I didn't know what was meant. It just kind of scared me a little bit. Now, your wife does not want me at all to communicate with you. Why, Zot, would you do that? Let that happen. I love you very much. And that's why I chose to politely understand when you blocked me on Facebook with the same person who invited me out here, the same person who walked up to me at Girls' Night Out. You walked up to me at Girls' Night Out in Columbus, Ohio. You even knew the date. You probably knew the exact time. You're the one who invited me to come out here. You're the one that when I was in Cleona, Pennsylvania, drove all the way there to help me close down my apartment and insisted that I come out here during my time of mental weakness. You're the one who claimed you were going to help me with my SRS. You're the one who also said you were going to leave me a will behind so that I could be taken care of. You were the one who said we were going to get married so I had health insurance and that I would have some kind of pension in the time of your passing. Transitioning is what I realized. I didn't want all the things. I wanted love, fun times, the rock and roll ministry inside the life inside my head, but I wasn't taught right, so I didn't know how to do it. The ministry, but not the way everybody else says to do it. It doesn't work like that. What I'm realizing is I never had time to sit down and get to know myself. I wasn't taught how to do it. Donald Trump. And then when I'm talking to other people, they be honest to me too. See, that's a problem in American culture. Just like Daddy. Daddy hides things from other people in relationships. He's done it all of his life. Then when they get in a relationship, they find out they want a divorce. You call me your girlfriend. I'm your girlfriend. To me, I always say that I'm your baby girl for eternity. You're my daddy that I always wanted. And whether we got married, whether we were intimate or not, and whether we ever talk again, you're always going to be my daddy, whether you like that or not. I have it in my head, you're my daddy. I wanted you to adopt me, you didn't. And that's okay. It's more important to me that I get to live the life inside my brain now. And it was very disappointing to me when I received kind of a mean or a nasty letter from your wife instructing me to never stop in your place again. If Judy really understood that you were the one, Daddy, that always hit on me, kind of mentally put me in a position to sleep with you, I'm not the kind that hits on people. I don't hit on people. The guy from New York that I dated was the only one that I would flirt with like that. I'm not natured like that. Even when I dated girls, they would say the same thing. Why? Most guys would try to sleep with me, is what they said, because they thought I was, my identity was more of a guy. So they would say to me, most people would hit on me to have sex within the first hour they're together. But we've been together for the week, and you don't ever hit on me for that. And I say, because I just love being with you. I just like being with people. If you want to have sex, we can have sex. It's not top of my list. If I was with somebody in a very healthy relationship and we didn't have sex, or if we did, I just want to love to be with somebody and have fun. I want to do things together. I don't know what it's like to do things with people and have fun. Not just sex all the time, not just eating. I want to do something. Now, with that being said, you got, what is it, over $1 million house in Yellow Springs, is it? And how did you get that, Daddy? Did you get it with the help of the person you're married to? I shared a video not so long ago with a gentleman there, one of the maintenance people, explaining that an x-ray was never performed on a certain part of the airplane. And they usually do it before, and they usually do it after it's bolted on or welded on. Considering when I first met you, Daddy, you and your wife were in the process of divorce. I could see that she was mentally destroyed, much like I was, especially the longer I was in a relationship with you. In other words, in my opinion, you're a mental abuser at its worst kind. I had a sensation that people were putting things into my drink, like my grapefruit drink and stuff, while I was living at Huber Heights. I hope that isn't true, because my head started to clear up a lot when I got on my own in my own apartment. That's another topic. Could have Tracilyn's grapefruit juice been filled with all kinds of medication to keep her bedridden? I shared that with my psychiatrist, by the way. All I needed was somebody in this damn world to love me when I needed somebody to love me. And by the way, I always had something to offer, whether it was my ass, my penis, adult services, modeling shoot. There's something I could have done. Thank you, kind America. Wish you the best with your career, Caitlin. I know the entertainment industry can be a bitch. I'm a hell of a songwriter, too. Should put a message out there. Why would you do that? Exactly. Because one song in the transsexual female community could change the world. That's why, Caitlin. We get over ourselves, Caitlin. We get over ourselves and start acknowledging life's not about ourselves. And transsexualism hasn't been taught right. All this gay, queer, and all this other stuff, these are words that people are conditioned to accept. We're human beings, and in Scripture, Caitlin, there's no male or female in heaven, which is in the mind. We're transitional existences. How we identify is how we identify. So we should be called something else. Now, with that being said, getting back to you, Zot, when I heard that story, I couldn't believe it. I met Judy shortly after 2012, after you guys were married, and I realized that she seemed to have the same mental appearance, symptoms, facial expressions and stuff, mental symptoms, like Carol that I met, and like myself. And in my opinion, very strongly, I would say from my witnessing of living with you, that you're a mental abuser at its highest, greatest level. You lost $1 million house that you yourself built in Beaver Creek. Through the divorce, you had to give up that house. Is it true or not true, Daddy? You moved over at Huber Heights and you could never stop thinking of building another house. Right, Daddy? Making different alterations, Daddy? Huber Heights was not the place you wanted to stay. It was a house to fulfill a need that was necessary. And it helped a lot of people. I loved that house. I didn't like living under your orderhood. I didn't like being a servant to your idea of life. I still loved you. I tried to explain it. Sometimes it felt like you were smacking me over the head mentally. In fact, lots of times. I was trying to do something, you're trying to make me something else that I'm not. Well, guess what? Electronic harassment, Daddy. You might be one of the great, in fact, I believe it. You're very Christ-like. If anybody else in this world is Christ-like, you are. And this electronic harassment's real. I believe Stephen and people in the entertainment industry were playing with our whole family in that house. What do you think of that, Trump? And it caused division. In other words, the Zot that I loved is really the Zot that I loved. He's real. However, he was in the military for 30-some years. They don't want him to give his pension to anybody. Right, Donald Trump? The military doesn't want to give pension to anybody, especially somebody young and hot who does music. Right, Caitlin? Electronic harassment, first order of business is split up the family. We'll make sure that he doesn't leave his pension behind for somebody young and beautiful in the entertainment industry. In life. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Military. Am I a conspiracist? I've been watching too much Alex Jones. I should sue him. He should have to prove to me how real it is. Now here's the thing. Check this out. Daddy, back to you. You wanted a house really bad. You made a declaration that you had the blueprints. How did I know this? And that you would make different alterations if you build again. You got that house. And I don't know this to be true, but I'm assuming that when her husband died in that plane crash, he left her money in a will. And with that money, that house of yours was built. And in the event that she would ever leave you, she would sue you in divorce. And you would never be able to most likely build another house again. Did the police officers truly investigate and come up to the conclusion that there could be a possibility when one wife's husband dies in a plane crash, leaves her a lot of money, new man who used to work at the same Wright B. Flyer Museum and all had worked on the Silver Bird as well, right, Daddy? You worked on it, or so it was said that you were going to. Am I conspiracist? Is that how you say it? Conspiracist. Caitlin, am I? Let's put this together quick. My daddy introduced me to the Wright B. Flyer. I got to meet Carol. Carol seemed to have a mental illness. She was very distraught in the fact that she learned what she learned about him. With that being said, he lost the house that he loved, that he built with his own hands. $1 million home, baby. I love that house. I'd love to have the blueprints for that house myself, make alterations to it. You know, I got ideas. Now here's the thing, check this out. He worked and served at that museum. I know that. I was there. He used to stop in all the time. He was a member. Check it out. 2009, up until whenever. Is he still? Now here's the thing, check this out. I learned that that plane, the shaft was cracked. No x-rays were taken of that shaft. Could a laser came down and got the shaft? Do you think the same people who are harassing me might have set it up that this gentleman, unfortunately, who has been a pilot for how many years? Was he ever in an accident before? All of a sudden to say, why would he go up in an airplane without taking any x-rays, number one? Number two, maybe their mind? Number two, why in the world would he end up crashing into a field like that? 2 people died in that airplane. Look it up online, the Silver Bird, Wright B. Flyer. And the reasoning that, is it the FCC code or whatever it is, that is stated was because there was a crack, a fracture within what I explained in the other video. You had to check it out. The gentleman actually explains it. In another video, check it out. Go back a couple videos. You can see the Wright B. Flyer Museum, one of my favorite places here in Ohio. I highly recommend that you visit it. Did the officer actually take time to investigate the possibilities that maybe something happened to him so that his wife would inherit finances? And when the wife inherited finances, my daddy could end up marrying her and building his new home. I don't know if that would be. It's a thought. I'm asking. I'm not actually making a statement. But I'll tell you what, it really upset me when I found out that my birth certificate was stolen at that house in Huber Heights. I know that my songs were pushed along via email. I never asked him not to, but he was sharing my songs as soon as I came here in Ohio. I was sharing with him in 2010, so he knew I was doing something with my life. That he was helping me, and I was actually in return doing something for the community, which was writing my songs. Which I'm now finally recording, Donald Trump, after years of trying to figure out how to survive in this country. Sorry, Caitlin, if you're listening. But here's the thing. I didn't want to yell in your ear. But here's the thing. Check this out. So all my songs get pushed along. My songs, you can look at the lyrics. It's just like that Song Hill or Hillsong. I'm the only one that ever sang Let Your Love Flood Through My Soul, Hillsong. Nobody else. They always said flow. That's weak. I'm the one who was in the backseat of a Sacramento police car, handcuffed. I was innocent. He was listening to death metal on the radio. I thought he was gonna kill me. Hillsong. Only Tracilyn at that time said, Jesus, let your love flood through my soul. Flood through my soul, because I need it now. Hillsong, something tells me you lived a very pampered life. And you didn't need love like that. But I did. Somebody who's been homeless, been an adult entertainer, had false charges pressed on him, faced police harassment, brutality. Shame on you. Joel Osteen. They sing down there at your church. And if they're using my lyrics, then I get to come to your stage and sing my songs. And I'll tell them, whoever wrote that song, Flood, I heard it. It's weak. It ain't like my song. Listen to the lyrics. I'm the real deal. And I'm sick of the whole entire entertainment industry raping the shit out of me. Hillsong, that's a dirty birdie. Let me tell you something. Don't listen to my music. You'll start to become like me. Go straight to God. Get inspired to write songs from God. And God doesn't tell you to, what? Either have connections to people who are invading my privacy or to listen to my songs for great, clever ideas. Maybe Steven's playing God with Hillsong and send him electronic harassment way. See, he harasses me, but he manipulates people's way of thinking. Sometimes they don't even know they're not in tune with it. He plays with people's thoughts. He does it all the time. And he's never been sued. Supposedly, he has a Patriot Energy company, so he knows all about directed energy and the details of that. It's right out there in front of everyone's face. Why isn't he locked up? Buffalo, New York police station? He's really guilty of stuff. Why am I in the back of a police car handcuffed just for walking down the street, taking pictures of a California sky? I was scared for my life. I was walking the streets minding my business. Originally it was when an officer harassed me, and then I changed it to hypocrite. Because I know it's not all the police officers of the world. That officer might have been electronically harassed. In other words, people like Steven can get into everybody's thoughts. Now, I had this dream about God. God showed me, just like in California, so this is where I'm convinced it was probably Steven. But I'm just wondering if the local police force had questioned that thought. Because I know the military, the government doesn't want somebody like Zot to marry somebody like me who is very, very inventive, creative. You don't want to give me freedom, Trump, because how will I use it? I'll use it like God, the Christ the King, requests me to, reveals into my mind to. I actually wanted to have fun with my life, play beautiful venues, lift people's spirits, rock and roll. And this is what it came to. And then you want to take Queen, right? All of a sudden, Queen's coming out with this new singer. Did he go through a singing contest? Let's make a big deal about this. Is that so? Well, let me tell you, Mr. Lead Singer of Queen, you're no fucking Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury is the one who inspired Tracilyn in rock and roll. Probably, I wouldn't say the most, but in many ways. Actually, Elvis Presley inspired me the most, what was done through Elvis. And of course, Bon Jovi. I'm sick of this country supporting bands that have been around for years. There's other people who are out and proud too, and they can barely eat anymore. They have to wait in line at the food pantry, take whatever little handouts they can get, and sleep with bed bugs. Queen, in all of your history, you never had as many hit songs as I do. Very few people like me come along in this lifetime. I'm creative. I have something to say, and it's my time for the microphone. That's what they're doing now, just like Quiet Riot. All these other bands, they're taking, the frontmen are no longer around, or half the band isn't even the same anymore, or maybe none of the band. Do you think Kiss is gonna do that too? How many years are we gonna see a bunch of guys in makeup singing Strutter? In my opinion, you guys are assholes simply because you don't step down off the stage. So Zot doesn't want to be with me anymore, America. And he made promises to me that he would give me over $1 million. Military benefits. Military doesn't want to take care of somebody like me. That's what they say. We don't want to take care of you. God takes care of me. Now I need the Freedom Unit so I can live my life and put it together in alignment with the heaven in my head. So, anyway, the Silver Bird went down. It isn't long after, right? A couple years later, now all of a sudden, Zot doesn't want anything to do with me. And he blocked me like a little puss on Facebook. Now I live in Dayton, Ohio, Joyce, by a dumpster, because I'm your student. I don't live in a palace. I live by a dumpster. Joyce Meyer's student. How do you live, Joyce? Maybe I should come over and find out how you live. Off the lives of other people? Why'd you leave all the important things out? When I reached out to your ministry, why would you only pray for me? I don't need prayers. I need somebody to be kind to me. Well, that is kind. That's weak. Well, not if you believe like we do. I know. I know how it all works. Mind manipulation. When somebody's hungry, it's best to just give them some kind of good food. When somebody's thirsty, it's best to just give them a drink. When they need clothing, get them clothing that actually fits. So anyway, we're wrapping up with this. Know this, that I loved Zot, and I still do. And I'm always gonna love him. I'm beginning to really think that this electronic harassment was a 50-50. In other words, Zot may be under the impression that it's some kind of God communication to him, but it's really another human being who was with him on his military flights, looking out for him, brought him home alive. So now he's a servant to that maybe, but not the real almighty Christ. I'm always here for Zot, no matter what, whether because of rape or anything else that happened, even the crazy bird thing, my grapefruit juice, all of that. I still love the Christ that was in him is what I come to realize. And Christ is in everything. And Christ is about ready to resurrect the hell of a rock and roll ministry. And John Bon Jovi, I'm never going to shut my mouth. I'm going to always show that car. You going to have a nice response for the people? Huh? You don't need to explain. I'm never going to shut my mouth with that no matter what good comes in this lifetime. I can't stand people like you that's been around for 30, 40 years. I don't want to hear your songs, Bon Jovi, on the radio anymore in Ohio. It's driving me crazy. Wanted dead or alive? Now look at my life. I'm going down in a blaze of glory. You're the one who gives love a bad name.